Hey YouTube, this is Ben Gessel. How's it going? It's, I guess you could say, very late Wednesday night, and just saw a documentary about Scientology that was pretty awesome. By the way, this video is going to be kind of a general vlog type um, video, but maybe a little bit more about this documentary. So I hadn't seen it before. I've seen some of Mark Bunker's stuff on YouTube. But I've seen other stuff like Leah Remini and um, also Miscavige's dad talking with Joe Rogan. And I've mentioned in other videos before stuff about the subject. And I know a lot. I know a lot about this subject. Quite a lot. Probably more than most by this point. And after seeing this documentary, um, wow. I have no words. I mean, I'm trying to find the words. Just for starters. Just for starters. Apparently, David Miscavige has physically struck, quite a number of people, or he's had others that were kind of senior in this church, quote unquote, strike people. And they've never been punished. Why have they never been punished? It's because the organization just protects them. Um, Scientology is a law unto itself. They don't. They're messed up. They're seriously messed up. They're so messed up that um, I just. Uh, you could talk about Satanism, being satanic almost, and even at that point, there'd be things about being that way that would still actually be it's a little bit seen as at least, well, heck, you have more personal freedom at least, so to speak. I mean, that's how bad, that's how bad this church is. So in this documentary, I can't remember exactly who made it. It was a British guy or something. I guess his first name is Lewis. Spelled more a French way, but I guess like Louis. Um, but yeah, British guy at least, as far as I know. So I mean, I knew about a bunch of stuff already. The things I guess that were new about this documentary that were I didn't really know about as much were actually, what didn't I know about? Well, I think it has a lot to do with that they tried going to the compound, Scientology compound, a few different times, and the place was surrounded by barbed wire fence, and it had um, motion detecting lights all around it, and you know, if those things went off, if people were in the vicinity and supposedly they weren't supposed to be, or it was actually something where if someone got too close to the compound. Um, this compound being a place where people went, I guess, that were in trouble with the church or something. So they were kind of just trapped there, imprisoned there, you know, or something along those lines. I had it's really jacked up. Okay, so but yeah, they have people watching the perimeter in the United States. I think this is California somewhere. About Clearwater, Florida. I guess it's a place in California too. I don't know. I mean, this is man. So I guess Lewis was and this other guy were like um, trying to talk to these guys, and they kept saying he was trespassing, and he wasn't. He was actually on the road itself was public property. It wasn't privately owned. So the Scientologists were full of crap, and they had some help from another dude to make this documentary. And I guess I looked in the comment section. Apparently, this guy who was helping him make this documentary, that was one of the highest, was used to be one of the highest command people in Scientology. Apparently, he rejoined Scientology. I have no idea why he would do that sort of thing. It's shocking, to say the least, that he would do that. But, I mean, anyway. There were some thoughts I had. One of them was that there's something about an organization where now don't get me wrong, this is why this aspect is one of it's one of the reasons why people consider my church to be a cult sometimes, the Mormons. But it's kind of like when you have a group of people, a church or whatever, and you make friends there or whatever else, and if you're, as long as everything is great with the church, then you'll have friends in the church. But if you decide you don't want to be a member of that church, or you don't want to whatever, then you'll lose those friends. So this train of thought is interesting, because in my church, it isn't quite like that. But everybody's free to make their own decisions about socializing. That's what's really going on. But we all know that the world of socializing is much more complex than that. It's just that there's nobody that actually gets up and says, "Don't talk to this person," or "You're going to shun this person." There's nothing like that ever happens. It's completely up to the individual. It's always been that way in my church, but anyway, there's just, I've heard the stigmas and stuff. But in Scientology, whoever friends you make, whatever contacts you make, are strictly only if you're a Scientologist. I mean, it's an all-consuming kind of thing. It has to be, you have to be all in, or not at all. And you can't have any friends really that are outside of the church. What kind of nonsense is that? And everything you do, it's a cult. It's a cult. It is the definition of the word cult. I just couldn't get over the fact that anybody who's a Scientologist, if they leave everybody that they've known in that church, quote unquote, behind. Wow, I mean, imagine being married to somebody that was a Scientologist, and you decided to be a Scientologist, and you decided you didn't want to be a Scientologist anymore, and your wife or husband said, no, I want to stay being a Scientologist. And you can't, what, you have to get divorced? It's really messed up, man. It's worse than being messed up. It's straight up evil. Um, anyway, I have some other thoughts about this, about some stuff I knew. So YouTube has, I've noticed a fair number of free movies, and they're actually pretty worth watching. And as these kinds of movies go, there are some that are scarier, I guess. When it comes to possession movies, haunted house movies, I really think it's safe to say that I don't know if I've seen all the movies that are worth seeing, or all the movies. I don't know if the plots have all been exhausted in those specific areas of scary movies. But, I mean, it was, oh my gosh. There are literally probably thousands at this point of movies that have the same premise. A kid or a few kids. If they have, and they're usually kind of not spoiled brats, but they're a little bit sulky, or they're a little bit, you have the goth girl, or the little girl who's a little bit. Anyway, kids, parents. Oh, this is a nice house. We'll be happy here. And then, yeah. I mean, I know I've mentioned this before in some other video. Why? Why keep making the same movie over and over again? I don't even have to see it. I know what's going to happen. Some demon, some evil ghosts are messing with him. We've seen it before. It's just the same thing over and over again. Ad nauseum. There's no end. Just come up with something, a different title. I'm not saying that demons are done. I'm not saying that possession movies are completely done with. I'm just saying the premise of the family that's kind of semi-bratty American family, middle class, sulky kids, parents are having marital difficulties, or it isn't necessarily anymore. It's not, the parents in the family aren't necessarily going to be religious or especially principled. Also, they'll be probably a little bit less so. Where have we seen this over and over? There's no end to this stuff. I just want to see a good scary movie, right? I'll even pay for it. So I was at Fred Meyer recently, right, getting some movies for my family, all my family, my parents' cabin. We have a big movie collection there that's more in the rated G and rated PG range. So I got some classics that I already knew what it was like, and I got a few more unfamiliar ones. And I was actually pretty impressed with how many movies I ended up getting this time at Fred Meyer. I was like, wow, Fred Meyer, good job. So I think I got Adventures in Babysitting. I got Arachnophobia. I saw Turner and Hooch, but Turner and Hooch is me. Got another dog movie. It was kind of like a Hallmark. It wasn't Hallmark because it wasn't that bad. It looked like a decent movie. Dog movies. Yeah. And then I got. Let's see. Um, some movie that came out not too long ago that was kind of more. Well, it looked good. I can't remember what it was exactly called, but then there was something about Big Legend, like about Bigfoot or something like that. I got that movie, and then what am I forgetting here? Just a few others, I think. Oh yeah, Overboard and Pixels, which is kind of okay. If you like Adam Sandler, cool. If you don't, whatever. But, and then a few Stephen King movies for me, and I tried the Stephen King, you know, HBO, wait for HBO miniseries, very detective oriented, and it's kind of And so then I got some kind of sequel to The Shining, which I hope I haven't seen already. Um, but the good news about this, the upside is that, well, I found some things to see that I hadn't seen before. That some of them were pretty recently made. Um, but as you guys could probably guess, a lot of my train of thought was, yep, pretty much most of the great movies were made before the year 2000, or at least before 2010, especially 2005, 2010. And those 70s and 80s times, just awesome. So I was trying to avoid that train of thought when I was at Fred Meyer. I really did have a good time just kind of browsing through the movies there. Because again, I was so buoyed up by the good choices they had. And again, it hasn't been all that often when, I guess the Fred Meyer and, I don't know, I guess it'd be Canyon Park? We'll just say North Bothell. Last time I went there, had some movies, but it wasn't always super awesome choices. But there was another train of thought I had about all this stuff, and it was kind of like, yeah, I'm still looking for a good fantasy adventures, man. A lot of stuff is at best kind of mediocre. If I can see a mediocre movie, even paying for it, that's new, that's a fantasy adventure. And by mediocre, I don't mean those B-budget movies. It doesn't even have to be fantasy, just a great adventure. Just a great story, I think. Something fun. Then mission accomplished. It's like far more difficult to find a decent movie these days that you haven't seen already. Then it's far more difficult to do that than to make a good, decent dinner that's filling and nutritious and tastes good and all that good stuff. That's a piece of cake compared to finding a good movie that you haven't seen before. It's actually worth seeing. It isn't. Okay. Like, I bet you this has already been done before. But like, what if? Like, honestly, I bet you someone will do this. If they haven't done it already at a higher budget, they'll do it. They will do it. Just if somebody made a movie. Sorry about that, folks. I am human. We do sneeze from time to time. If somebody made a movie about a bunch of demons that ganged up on a guy and put him through torture and some haunted house, and no matter where he went in the haunted house, he was trying to get out the entire time, and Anyway, I mean, really super scary. I mean, scary even for adults. You say, well, if it's actually scary for adults, that's saying something. It's actually pretty freaking impressive, right? Well, when was the last time you guys were scared, man? I mean, the Saw movies didn't even scare me. Of course, they kind of boring. I mean, look, it's just, I don't know. It's like, if you're a doctor, you're a surgeon, just another day at the hospital, right? You're cutting into bodies, and you have to have a really strong stomach, and if you, well, so to speak. Um, it's just the gore element. It's just, hacking off limbs. It's all that Saw is. And it's psychological kind of too. Cube, yeah, kind of more of let's get out of here. Maze, the fatiguing element of being in this place that is gonna kill you. No, um, no squares that are more nice to be at. Every square is, you know, lethal potentially. I don't know. Just really, really. I remember Cube and Cube 2 were about as inhumane as you could possibly get in terms of just. And it's hard to watch it without just being like, it was demoralizing. It was still a great movie. But just mentioning these kinds of movies, and you can get all artsy and creative about the different rooms and hallways and stuff, and I think a good director would do that, or heck, just make it about going into the Vatican and all, yeah. Well, yeah, but yeah, I mean, like, some place that's forbidden, finding all these secret rooms of all this secret stuff that's really scary. And yeah, I would love to see a movie like that. That sounds awesome. If it's, I'm sure it's done right, but will it happen? Will they do it? No, no. Yet again, we're faced with another ho-hum, B-budget, stupid haunted house movie. It's kind of the point where you're just like, oh, what color hair are the parents and the kids' hair gonna be? Oh, look, the piano's playing on its own. Wow, where have I not seen that before? Oh, hey, they have a butler who's 7 feet tall. Wasn't that guy in the Addams Family? Or was that the Munsters? No, I'm pretty sure it's the Addams Family. Oh, look, they're paintings of dark-haired women that, like the Mona Lisa, that their eyes are following me around. Scary. I'm scary. Oh, look, the chandelier's moving. Oh, look. Yeah. There's an old maid who is giving him kind of weird looks. Out of the corner of her eye, she looks like she might be a witch. Oh. Hey, tell you the truth, that one little bit right there, that would be awesome if actually a haunted house movie actually had that. I mean, it was like, oh yeah, they're taking up a notch. They did it right. But will they do that? No. No. No, but hey, we see this. At least it's better than a movie like Slender Man or Ouija Board or Slender Man. At least at least you could say whatever time we spent watching another thousandth haunted house movie. At least we could say that that haunted house movie is probably better than those dumpster fires. Now, if there was a movie about with a whole bunch of satanic symbols and you can get the haunted hallways or the people that whole shouty thing, it gets really annoying. It can be overdone. It was kind of overdone a little bit, the Maze Runner, and who wants to hear a bunch of shouting? I mean, if they do it right, sure, I guess. Why not? But if the whole movie is just one shouting event after another, if it's just screams and shouts and people running around and no, that just gets very irksome very fast. To be brutally honest. Um, but a movie like something about um, As Above, So Below was again pretty awesome. That having to do with, I guess, the catacombs of Paris. Um, I mean, if you do a scary movie right, and it's if you really do it right, then it's worth seeing. But you see a guy dressed up in a demonic costume, and he's got the red eyes, and he's got the horns. Yawn, right? But if you see a similar entity, I don't know, looks just kind of different somehow, but truly frightening. Frightening. Then, yeah, okay, you got my attention. But just, you know, and then when you least expect it coming up. I mean, they could do it with music, and I mean, there's so many things that film guys can do still to regenerate, rejuvenate, revitalize this whole genre. But again, will it ever happen? I don't know. It's laziness, even laziness with indie movies. It's pathetic. So I haven't, I haven't really seen anything resembling a scary movie in quite some time. I just haven't. I've kind of forgotten how many B budget movies there are in this regard. And it's the thing is there's so many of them. You start losing track of all of. I've seen a fair number of semi B budget scary movies. Some dumpster fires, and of course the good ones, many of them, and the ones that I haven't seen, there's scary stuff. I'm still less interested because it's too much of a gore thing. Then I like it's just gore. It's just like also there's like this movie called Blackula, which I'm sure it's great. There's a lot of these movies I haven't seen before because look, Dracula and vampires are fine at all. I never saw Twilight, so the Blackula thing, by the way, I again haven't seen it, but I'm assuming this is really a blaxploitation era in the '70s when you know it was cool to be African American. Whatever it was, the thing. Anyway, '70s. Wrap this up here a little bit. Yeah, just talking to you guys. Leave your thoughts and comments below. Catch you guys later. Take care.